Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the Gunpla Starter Set Volume 2, otherwise known as the easiest way to get a G30 Gundam. Because yes, aside from the guide and Gundam marker that's included in this is the G30, the RX-78 they produced for the 30th anniversary. So let's start off this review, as always, by taking a look at the articulation. Okay, getting into the articulation, the head is on a standard polycap, the barbell style one, though because it uses a false neck, you don't get much additional movement out of it. You get pretty good up, pretty good down, a little bit either side, really not very much, and you do get a full rotation. Now the shoulders have a forward-facing hinge, as well as a ball joint. Then the arm can hinge out to the side about 90 degrees. This does mean it can't pull off the proper final shooting pose, but that's what the revive's for. Then, as for the rest of the arm, you get a rotation at the bicep, which is fairly standard, a single joint at the elbow for just above 90 degrees, and the hands, as always, are on a ball joint. Now, as for the waist, it has a fairly standard design for the time, which is just two ball joints stacked on top of each other. And one thing about these is you never really get much movement out of the top one. You can kind of see it's moving a little bit, but yeah, most of the movement comes from the one at the waist itself. And yeah, it is actually blocked on the back. So if you want to get any more than that, you might have to fiddle with it a little bit. Now, moving on to the waist. The front skirts are ball jointed, which is nice. They get out of the way completely fine. And they come separated on the runner, which is nice. What's less nice is the side skirts are also ball jointed, which just means that they can rotate front and back a little bit, and side to side isn't that big of a deal, but yeah, you don't get a ton up anyway, so it's not really like that amazing. Back skirt's solid, that's fairly standard. The hips actually do rotate forward and back a bit, as you just knocked that loose. But yeah, universal joint on the hip, but if I can actually show it, yeah, the cut only goes out 45 degrees in the actual hip itself, so you can't get it further than this even though it's a universal joint. I mean, to be fair, you could pretty easily cut that to let it go all the way out, but it's just a weird design decision. Now, there is actually a cut at the thigh, which is nice, so you get a full rotation there. As for the knee, single joint, but that's not that bad, it's almost a full bend. And then at the ankle, it has pretty much the same as all the other high-grade RX-78s, though I will say it gets really far forward for some reason. Doesn't actually get that far to the back, but yeah. And not a ton to either side, which is kind of a problem with most RX-78s in general, just because of the design. But the articulation isn't amazing, but it's not horrible either, though you're not really buying this for the articulation anyway. Now, getting into the accessories, let's start off, as always, with the stickers, and by extension, the color correction. You'll notice that I used the head cameras, because they're metallic red, which is nice. Unfortunately, the eye sticker is also metallic red, so that's been painted. The metallic eyes are alright, but yeah. Also, this is a slightly odd red, so even if this wasn't metallic, it still wouldn't color match. And these other two stickers are for the neck. Yeah, they don't even include a sticker for this. You have to paint this. But thankfully, pretty small sticker sheet, and as you can see, it actually does say G30th on it. But aside from that, let's get into the actual accessories. Let's start off with the hands, you get 2 closed fists. Yeah, this is a bit of a problem we'll get into in a second. You do get 4 hands. So, closed fists, an open hand, and a trigger finger hand. Do you notice something? All of these are for the right hand. The only option you have for the left is a closed fist. Same problem I have with the double Zeta. Why don't we have a holding hand or an open hand? Just only having a closed fist on one side, it's basically, why even bother including 2 beam sabers? But yeah, let's get into the beam rifle. Fully color correct, thankfully. This is a separate piece in the scope camera. And it does move. And the secondary handle does move, though as you can see it's way too thick to actually be held as a secondary handle. And again, there's no real reason for them to make it fit into a hand when they don't give you a hand to hold it. Speaking of hands holding things, the holding hand is included for the beam chopstick. Which, I mean, to be fair, holds it well, but yeah, the fact they included a beam chopstick is very much a intentional decision, because both of these are compatible with modern beam sabers. That said, they didn't actually include any, so you're going to have to take them from another kit, but the hand does at least hold these well as well, so you don't really have to worry about them falling out of the hand, unlike the backpack, since these beam sabers don't really like to stay in here, and yeah. Anyway, next up, let's just get this out of the way. It does come with a bazooka, with a little clip, like pretty much every RX-78, that you pull out the little panel on this, and this plugs in on the butt, and then lets it hold it. Unfortunately, the handle's static, which kind of just... why? I can't believe it took them till the revive to give the bazooka a movable handle. That's kind of ridiculous. This thing's kind of not very good, honestly. But something that is decent is the shield, which is fully color separated, thankfully. The attachment's a little wonky. Again, it's because it doesn't have a holding hand on this side. But you can actually put it on both arms. And it, if I can actually get tab in, yeah, it actually holds on pretty well. You don't really have to worry about it getting knocked off. And also, you fold out a little peg, so it can obviously peg into other 3mm holes, but it's meant to be able to plug on the back. So you can actually store it on the back. And as for the final accessory, pretty much the main reason, well, one of the main reasons anybody would buy a G30, a 1/44 scale G-hammer with a metal chain. Granted, the weight of this kind of makes it a pain to have it posed, but it's a neat gimmick, and yeah, they pretty much never make these alternative weapons for the RX-78, so it's nice to have one fairly readily available. Yeah, try and track down a javelin, see how that goes. But this just fits in the hand, not particularly tightly, but it fits. And it does actually fit in the hand of the high-grade Turn A, if you wanted to give it to that, since it is literally the exact same design. But yeah, this actually has a pretty decent amount of accessories. And the G-hammer is really nice. Also, given this is the starter set and not just the G30, let's quickly go over what else it comes with. First off, gray Gundam marker. Always nice to have these. I already have one, so I don't really need it, but still, really nice to include one. And also, a how-to guide. Full color pictures, but yeah, it's all in Japanese. It's not the most useful thing in the world, but you can at least, you know, kind of get the gist of what's going on, even if you missed the finer detail. And if you watched my Tools for Beginners video, you may notice a few Things that I pointed out here that actually, well, I haven't done anything on painting yet, but yeah, when it comes to working on building kits, especially the toothpick trick, which I actually figured out on my own, but it's nice to know that they actually officially tell you to do that. And also they give you a guide of all the shows that came out up to this point. And for a quick size comparison, I mean, it's the RX-78, it's the standard for Gundam height, so of course it's going to be average. That said, this is slightly more bulky, like very, very slightly more bulky than your standard RX-78. So, to wrap up this review, starter set's good, honestly. I'm not sure if this would be the kit that I would put in a starter set, especially since now the entry grade exists, so expect a Volume 3 soon, I guess. But the G30 is a pretty nice suit with a insane amount of detail for something at this scale. It is basically real grade level detail, which is pretty impressive. And this is the only 144th Gundam that comes with the G-Hammer. If only it came with a Javelin, but really my biggest complaint is there's no left holding hand. There was no real reason not to include one, but they just decided not to. So, yeah, basically the left arm holds the shield, and that's it. But the kit's alright, the guide is a nice inclusion, and if you need another Gundam marker, it's nice to get one. I'm not actually sure if I would recommend this as a starter set, like I said, but it's a decent kit, and it's a pretty good price, honestly. So if you're interested in getting a G30, this is your best bet at getting one. But anyway, that's been all for this review. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, it helps a lot. Subscribe for future reviews and watch my backlog. Go follow me on Twitter for updates, and consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you reviews, just like this one. And as always, until next time, happy building.